Today is the second video in a two-part series that I'm doing talking about the tools I use for my online business. Let's do this. Hi, my name is Jim Hart. I'm the founding attorney here at Hawthorn Law, where we help online businesses to get their legal house in order so that you can focus on what you do best, and that is building a business that truly matters in the world. Today, I want to dive in to some of the most essential tools that I use in my online business to keep me successful, on track, all those things. Now, if you're running an online business, be it a blogger, a podcast, or affiliate marketer, or any of those types of things, then you want the tools and the strategies that you can use to keep your business streamlined, productive, and profitable. And that's what I want to share with you today. Because if you do not have these tools, if you're not using the right tools in your online business, it is really easy to get sidetracked, to waste a lot of time, to spend a lot of money that's not necessary, and to basically just lose track of the big goal, which is to build a business that's going to truly matter and give you lifestyle freedom that will allow you to travel and do what you want to do with your life. Live a life that means something and is not just tied to a 9-to-5 desk all day. And I can tell you this from experience, there are so many tools out there, shiny objects, as we like to call them in the online business space, that are going to distract you from what you actually need to do, and that is building your business. And it is hard to choose between what tools are actually tools that you should be using and what tools are just getting in the way of you building an amazing business in the world. If you invest in the wrong tools and the wrong software and the wrong just resources that you need for your business, it can seriously waste so much time and so much effort and basically just put you behind the eight ball when it comes to your competitors and other online businesses in general and everything else, and the goals that you have for what you want to do in this world. Now, I've been running online businesses for about 10 years, so I've used my share of software, I've used my share of courses, and today what I want to share with you are some of the tools that I use that I think you absolutely cannot live without for your online business. In last week's video, I talked to you about some of the marketing tools, website tools, and productivity tools that you should be using in your online business. Today, what I want to focus on are the e-learning tools you should be using, some administrative tools you should be using, and tools that you can use if and when you get to the point where you need to have a team. So let's start with e-learning tools. Now, first off, what do I mean about e-learning? When I'm talking about e-learning, what I mean are the tools that you can use to gain knowledge, to learn new skills, to learn about things that you didn't know about, to help you get the experience that you need to run your online business. I'll give you a great example. When I first started doing videos on YouTube, I had no idea what I was doing, but I took some courses on Skillshare. I learned how to use Adobe Premiere Pro. I learned how to use this camera. And this really just leapfrogged me above other people that still try to do all this stuff on their own without using these type of resources. So here are the resources that I highly recommend you use when you're getting started for your business. All right, the number one resource that I would highly recommend you use is a tool called Audible. Audible allows you to download audiobooks that you can listen to when you're going for a walk, when you're going for a jog, when you're working out at the gym, when you're doing the dishes, when you're whatever you're doing, in the car, on the commute. It allows you to basically listen to some really amazing books that can change the trajectory of your business. So I highly recommend you look in Audible. It's owned by Amazon. It's like 10 or 15 bucks a month or something like that. And they've got a return policy. If you get a book and you don't like it, you can just send it back. They'll give you a credit and you can pick out a new book. And so it's a really great, handy tool. For me personally, I am a very slow reader, but when I use Audible, I can go through a book in like 4 or 5 hours, and even faster if I listen on 1.5 speed, which I typically do. The second e-learning platform that I would highly recommend is called Skillshare. Skillshare has a bunch of courses on basically anything you might need to know about. Like I said, I used a course on Skillshare to learn how to use Adobe Premiere Pro so I could edit this with this camera. I used a course on Skillshare to learn Adobe Photoshop. I've used Skillshare with my paralegals and administrative assistants to help them learn skills that they need to know how to use. It is just a really amazing platform, And just about anything you want to learn, you can learn on Skillshare with a course. The nice thing about it is you pay a low monthly subscription fee and you get access to all their courses without paying any additional fees. So it's a really cool tool. You're going to learn a lot from it. I highly recommend you check it out. All right, the next tool I want to share with you is not so much an e-learning platform, but it is a note-taking tool that I use when I am watching these courses and listening to books online and other things like that. And it's called Notion. Notion is kind of like the Notes app for Apple on steroids. It allows you to do so much more. You can create pages, you can create toggle buttons, checklists, Kanban boards, calendars, to-do lists, all sorts of things you can put in Notion. Anytime I'm taking notes for something, I basically just go to Notion and I put my notes in there. It's great, it's easy to organize, it's easy to search and find what you're looking for, and it's a really cool little program. It's free, I believe, you can probably do quite a bit with it for free, and once you get to the point where you have to pay, it's like $4 or $5 a month, something like that. It's really inexpensive. Highly recommend you check it out. Now, for those of you who are not into taking notes on a computer or a laptop, then I'd recommend you get some sort of Moleskine journal. It's really important that you take notes and that you go back and look at what you have learned and reference back to things that you've learned in the past. This is just going to really help you as you're getting started with your online business. Whether it be you're talking to somebody and they come up with an idea that you really resonates with you, or you're learning something from an ebook or a course or a webinar or something like that, it's really helpful to always have a centralized location where you can keep all of your notes and all that type of stuff. The next main category of tools that you really need to be thinking about for your business are the administrative tools. And these are the tools I use in my business on a daily basis almost. And most of you are going to know these tools, so I'm going to go through them pretty quick. First is the Microsoft suite. You got Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, those type of things. Second, if you're on a Mac, you can also use Pages, Keynote, Numbers, those types of things. Although, I'll be honest, I like the Microsoft suite better, but it's your own personal preference. Also, if you're working with a team, you may want to look into the Google suite of products, which is Google Docs, Google Sheets, I don't know what it's called. There's some sort of PowerPoint software in Google as well. There's a ton of options for Google. I use Google Forms all the time to capture information internally and use it with Zapier that I talked about on the video last week. And then in conjunction with all of those tools, I use Dropbox, Evernote, Box.com, Google Drive, all of those type of things. I actually have different folders in each of those separate online platforms depending on what I'm using it for. So I have for Box.com, I use that with my law firm. For Google Drive, I use that with anything related to my team that I'm working with virtually. For Dropbox, that's mostly my personal things, and Evernote is also mostly my personal things that I use and some business things that I need to scan into the computer. But I've got a place for all my things. I've got a system for all of it. It doesn't make sense to most anybody else, but it makes sense to me. And you need to come up with a system that's going to work for you. Now let's talk about your team, because when you get to the point that you need to hire people for your team, here are some of the tools you should be using. First off, you might be wondering, where do I even find these people to hire them? And I go to several places. I go to Fiverr, I go to Upwork, and there's another software or a website that I haven't actually used, but it's called Hire My Mom. I've not used it yet, but I've heard really good things about it. So I've gone to all those places. I've hired people from all those places. Another one that you could use is called 99 Designs if you need graphics work. And then there's also onlinejobs.ph if you're looking to hire somebody from the Philippines to do some work for you as a virtual assistant. That is an option as well. Chris Stucker has a lot of great resources for hiring virtual assistants. His book is called Virtual Freedom. It's got a lot of resources in there. It's a few years old at this point, but it still could be helpful to you. In terms of customer support for my courses and things that I put out there online, I use a program called Help Scout, which is really nice because you can assign certain emails to certain members of your team, and it's got everything in one place. It's a really great customer service tool, not terribly expensive. I think it's like 25 bucks a month per user. But if you're doing a lot of customer service and people are emailing you a lot for customer service, I highly recommend you use a tool like that as opposed to a standalone inbox. Now, when it comes to hiring staff, you've got to have procedures and processes and systems in place. For that, I use a wiki. It's called Tetra. And the nice thing about Tetra is it's basically like an internal website that you can just enter a bunch of information and publish certain pages, and you can upload files, you can put videos in there, you can do all sorts of things. It's very easy to format. It's got a very searchable database, and I use it to keep all my internal processes and systems from my law firm in Tetra directly. Along with Tetra, you might want to look into a software called Loom, which is again a really incredibly cheap software. Basically, it allows you to record your computer while you're doing certain tasks, and then you can take those videos and you can embed them onto pages in Loom or in Google Drive or wherever it is that you're going to hold the systems for your firm, and it makes it really easy for your virtual staff to look and see exactly what you need them to do. Now, if you're looking to take it up a notch, you can also use a program called Process Street, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a place where you can enter in checklists and processes and different things. You can put videos in there. You can have questions, you can all sorts of things that you can put into Process Street. So if you need people to do things a certain way and you need to make sure it gets done right every time, Process Street is a great tool for that. It also allows for some automation with Zapier. That's why I love it. I use it for a lot of my law firm processes, not so much with my online business processes, but you could use it for both. So there you have it. Those are the tools that I use in my online business. If you missed last week's video, here's a link to that video right there that shows some of the other tools that I use in my online business. I realize this isn't the sexiest video in the world, but it's definitely full of a lot of information that you really should pay attention to. I encourage you to watch it again and make note of some of the tools and software that I've explained in this video and see how they might be able to help you streamline your business as well. Thanks so much, folks. We'll see you in the next video.